Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
When John and Vicky asked me if I'd like to say a few words, I wasn't too sure at first. It's a little bit unconventional to have a father of the groom speech, but that sort of fits John pretty perfectly. I know father of the groom speech is also a bit American. It's an opportunity for the head of the family, and don't you lot forget it, to welcome their new daughter-in-law into the family, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to do just that. I know how important family is to you, Vicky, and your love and loyalty for your family is absolutely obvious. So a massive welcome to another Mrs. Gordon in the room. And I just they've been good sports and they've given me hell for the entire meal. We look forward to getting to know you even more over the years to come, and for you feeling as much a part of the Gordon clan as you clearly are of your own family. I wish I could do this talk, because I'm not actually going to sit down yet, you'll be disappointed in that. I wish I could do this talk without notes, but I'm reminded of Ed Miliband at the Labour Party conference, who forgot to mention the economy, which of course is the best thing for a Labour leader to do, but he didn't have any notes, so I'm afraid I am going to need some notes if I'm going to carry on. And I asked the MC if he could just keep a few bits together for what we need to go through, because I mean there's quite a lot that I need to mention about. So this is few of John's school reports and notes I made during his life, and forget that one. And actually, talking about the Labour Party, there's one thing I need to clear up, because there's quite a few faces I don't know. So over the last few years I've had the misfortune of being told by a few people that they're passing resemblance for manhole cover collecting, vegetarian, teetotal, non-driving, Diane Abbott shagging, Brexit backing, Islam apologist, terrorist sympathising, economically illiterate Marxist. Now, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, I've also had to endure, along with Jake, the dreadful thing of being in the medicine bar in Middlesbrough when Borough got promoted, and sadly that seems a long time ago, with Jeremy Corbyn is one of our own, and there's only one Jezza Corbyn. I confirm I am the father of the groom. Jeremy Corbyn would be equally upset if he was mistaken for me. I am definitely not a Marxist. Vegetables should be eaten by rabbits. My mother thought that eating a sherry trifle was tantamount to being an alcoholic, and I managed to make up for that since. I don't understand anybody who doesn't like driving a car, and my views on Brexit earned me a fatwa from my wife, and I'm just managing to slip in a few words that few people might think I would say. So, having cleared all that up, I'll carry on as Ian, and I'm sure you'd far rather I did. Thank you all for joining us today. I know for some of you it's meant travelling and a couple of days off work, and you might wonder why we're here on a Thursday in Judges. Well, John and Vicky obviously had a really good eye for a very good deal, which is why we're here today. But the main thing was they just couldn't wait to get married, and how good is that? It was the first opportunity they got to get a lovely place to get married, and if you've been following Vicky on Facebook, the countdown clock's been ticking, and they just couldn't wait to get to where they are. Also, congratulations for organising all this pretty much yourself. When you've got a control freak like me in the background, you've done pretty well to just get on and do it. It's your day, you've done it how you want it to do, and I really take your hat off to that. I've got to say, you do seem absolutely perfect for each other. I don't think I've ever witnessed a more sincere and heartfelt dedication between the two of you in the service we've had, and it was really, really lovely and moving to see, and you can't really want for anything more than that. Vicky, you're looking absolutely lovely today. I think that's, I'm not known for being observant, I think that's probably a new dress you're wearing. I don't think I've seen it before. And I know you were looking for someone who was honest, reliable, hard-working, funny and handsome. They're already married. So, you know, we've got John. You've clearly got extremely good judgment and obviously got a really good sense of humour, and you really are going to need that. Some say that daughters grow up to look like the mothers, and obviously if sons grow up to look like the fathers, neither of you have got anything to worry about. You're going to be absolutely fine. So we met Paul and Sue and Philip on a couple of occasions, and we look forward to getting to know you a bit more as over the years to come. Parties, christenings. Yeah. Don't want to be a really old granddad after all. And it'd be good to get to know other members of the wider family today. So looking around the room, quite a few of you are fortunate enough to have not heard me speak before. Those of you who do know me, looking to my friend Ben here, will be hoping I don't bang on about the things I usually bang on about, but I've managed to slip a few of those in already. And Ben hasn't pulled the same trick as when I was speaking to a group of young dentists who joined our practice group a bit ago. It was word bingo, where I had to include certain words seamlessly into a lecture about NHS rules and regulations and the dental UDA system. Now, that's a pretty dry topic, until Ben gives me this list of names which had to be included. Anybody want to know what he insisted on me including? It's his list, and I'm afraid I'm going to give it. So,
Don't say
flaccid, turgid, moist, erect, stiff, fingered, bush, crabs, flaps. Now, I can assure you that you are all, that I am not going to use any of those words in any advice I'm going to give to John and Vicky about anything. And if I've offended any of you, I'm really, really sorry.
no.
I'm actually skirting around the topic where I should be giving some advice on marriage. I've already had and endured in the last hour or so the fact I'm on a complete hiding to nothing with Jane and Carol here, because anything I say is likely to be contradicted by one of them. And the golden rule of public speaking is to try and win over the audience, and I think I've probably already proved that I'm not doing that very well. And marriage can be a little bit like that. You're not going to agree on everything all of the time, but it's really helpful if you can agree on something some of the time. I know I can manage to be infuriating quite a lot of the time, but fortunately I don't need to elaborate because it's not about me. I visited my 94-year-old uncle last month, cousin Anne's dad, and he understandably thought it'd be a bit much to be here today, but passes on his best wishes. He recalled his father of the bride's speech 46 years ago on Monday gone, which would have been my dad's 50th birthday as well that day. So whatever advice he gave in the speech, he was obviously doing a good job, because you're both with us today. I'm reminded of a few occasions with John, and I perhaps had a less developed sense of humour than I might have done. And I think that Jane and Carol recognised his artistic side and his funny side. For those of you who like photography, if you haven't seen John's artistic side, have a look at www.johnraygordonphotography.com. There's some really brilliant photos on there, and it's really worth having a look, and you've done a fantastic job of that. You really have. John had a real cheeky, chappy side as a kid, and as I say, I perhaps didn't get it too much. I used to play the church organ back then, and when Jane and I got married, I enlisted the help of a fellow church organist, retired school teacher. Now what some of you might not know is that all organs are different. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but no organist wants to go out and use the thing they're going to use for the first time without having a practice. So we had to have a practice at the church. Now, John was already not really in the good books, because we'd been to church the week before, and the usual things going around with the vicar going, peace be with you. Only for John's reply to that was, in a very high-pitched Mr. Bean voice, which I got to ask him to do himself, was, pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. So he was already on notice that you know, that wasn't the way to do it. So we've been to this rehearsal, we're walking back away from the church, retired teacher Helen and Vicar Paul, and chatting away. John pipes up with, "Shut it, tart!" To which he gets a clip round the ear from me, which I certainly wouldn't do now, I assure you. And only to find out that it was a quote from a Jim Carrey film, and in response to a dog barking. But you know, I apologise, John. I should have recognised your quirkiness maybe a little bit. There's just at times it was a bit more challenging. So a really challenging time was visiting Jane's sister, who had two boys the same age as Chris and John. And they'd been out playing in the garden. We were having a cup of tea or whatever we tended to have with Jane's sister rather than a glass of wine. And we were so we came out of the lounge, and they just decorated the hall. And I'm very proud of their newly decorated hall. Only to see all these paw prints going up the landing wallpaper, black, red marks up the wall. Who's done this? Code of Sprog honour, complete silence. Nobody's going to sprag. Even Christine didn't sprag. No, don't know. So, come on, one of you did it. It wasn't the Blue Fairy. No, nobody spragged. John, was it you? Why do you always pick on me? Black hands all over his face. And I'm sure Carol and Chris have plenty of other stories, but you're spared from there being a sister of the groom speech, because there's lots of stories I probably don't want to know about. Although I do remember lots of brother and sister squabbles in the back of cars. And in fact, Jake, this is going to be a bit of news for you. We really only had you to stop these two fighting. We could stick you in the middle, and the problem was you used to fall asleep. I mean, you find it hard to. I'm surprised you're still awake now, to be honest. You used to fall asleep and you'd loll onto one head or the other until John comes up with a novel idea of tying Jake's head to the central headrest so they could actually carry on. So there were things that, exactly. I mean, John and I never shared my love of football and Borough, and he had the audacity to fall asleep at the riverside when I took him over. There have been times when I think he had quite a lot of insight there. And if we were playing football, which I often used to do with some of the other kids that would be around, John would turn up and pick the ball up and run off with it, and I certainly wasn't going to encourage that, because he might have ended up liking rugby, and that would have been even worse. But you have got into sport recently, haven't you? So my only advice on that is, please stay away from Dolby Forest.
Yeah.
And if you move house, if you're doing DIY, can you just be a bit careful? Because you remember when you helped me with DIY, and there was a time, and those of you who know me will find this incredible it actually happened, but I was fitting a carpet in a bedroom. Doesn't mean to say by fitting it actually fitted, but I was attempting to fit a carpet. John thought he'd help me by hammering tacks into the carpet, in the middle of the carpet, to form a perfect bed of nails for anyone who got out. I think you got a clip round the ear for that as well. Yeah. But as John got older, I could always rely on him to help me. So, you know, finished GCSEs, and he worked very, very hard for that. And he was having a rest, and I said, John, can you help me by cutting the grass? Yeah, I'll do the grass. So I come home from work. John, you haven't cut the bloody grass. Yeah, Dad, I have. I've cut the grass. John, you haven't. I have. So I stomp upstairs, get changed to cut the grass. Look out the bedroom window. Oh yeah, cut the grass. One 20-metre long line with a perfect hemicircle at the end to halfway down that line to form a perfect letter P, followed by two perfect circles to form the word poo. That was John's cutting the grass. So beware, if you get a lawn, Dick, just watch out. John, I've given you a bit of you know, but you know, it's fair enough, and James is going to carry on where I've left off. But I really respect how fiercely independent you have been. I think it's fair to say that as you got through your middle teens, you were a little bit more alternative, and it was a bit more challenging at times. And if we ran out of plates or cups in the kitchen, we just used to go to John's room because they'd all be in there. And since he got a flat in Middlesbrough, and this is a massive thing, we got a flat in Middlesbrough, and he's worked his socks off. He's worked at Stokesay Motors. He's trained to be a chef. He's doing his chefing now. He's never once missed a payment of his mortgage. He's never ever asked me for any help, and he's been fiercely independent, and I have utmost respect for you for that, because you've never wanted an easy ride. You've done it your way, and if there's a signature tune, that should be your signature tune. You know, I did it my way. But when you met Vicky, she was obviously very different. Not only could she drive, she had her own car, and I was like, oh, hold on, you know, this is a great development. It was obvious to how much you were together. I'm going to close, you'd be glad to know, but I will attempt a few little words of wisdom. I've had 30 long years of marriage, quite a few of which have been the happiest in my life, and I know it's not conventional. I know it's not conventional to add the two together, but you know, we're doing unconventional. So I've learned a little bit along the way. So look out for each other, accept each other for what you are, and don't try to change each other. Share your goals, but keep your independence too. Don't turn your back on your family and friends. I know you won't. Don't try and win every argument, because you can't. You do need to learn to compromise with dignity. It's indifference that destroys relationships. Stay interested in each other. Children are the most important gift. I've got 3 fantastic kids. You're all different. And as I said already, I don't want to reiterate the point. I'd quite like to have some grandkids at some point. So I'm just going to labour that. John, some tips for you personally. Urinate in the lavatory, not around it. It's a really useful tip. And yes, dear, no, dear. Of course, dear works really well. Just learn to pretend that you mean it. Whenever you're right, admit it. And whenever you're wrong, whenever you're wrong, admit it. Whenever you're right, shut up. I got that completely wrong. You've only just begun. Open your minds to where life can take you, because you've got some fantastic opportunities. I know you're house hunting. Good luck with that. Some great places which you could look at. Just open your minds to what the future holds. I'm delighted for you. You're a lovely couple. I think you're soulmates, and that's so really important, that bring the best out in each other. In closing, marriage, I think, brings the principles of Leonardo da Vinci's self-supporting bridge. On its own, it doesn't work. It's not a bridge. But put the two together, and you've got a strong structure that can cope with any burden placed upon it. And I have every confidence that that's exactly where you are. So, I'll shut up. I was going to suggest that we haven't had a hymn, and you might all want to sing a verse from Come Ronda or something, but I've decided I think that would probably bomb dreadfully, so I'm not going to even go there. I'm happy to catch up with any of you later on in the bar. We've got my good friend Dan Madison's band, Section 20, so we have some great music, some dancing. It'd be great to catch up with you later. And if you could just join me, raise a glass and a toast to a long, happy, healthy marriage. To John and Vicky.
John and Vicky.
And Brexit.
Not Brexit.